There comes a time when a journey is no longer yours alone. You began with a quiet whisper in your soul, an idea, a calling, a task you knew was meant for you. In the early hours, before anyone else knew, it was just a seed in your spirit. But now, that seed has roots. It has grown in the hearts of others. It has echoed through rooms you never entered. It has inspired dreams you'll never fully see. This is no longer merely your burden. It is now your legacy. To stop midway is not just to disappoint yourself. It is to rob a world that has already begun to hope because of your beginning. There are those watching who may never speak your name, but they are silently drawing courage from your persistence. A child may one day rise because you did not fall. A stranger may one day believe because you did not quit. You are holding more than your own story now. You are carrying the weight of unseen futures. You were not called to convenience. You were not entrusted with this mission to walk away when it became heavy. No oak grows from soft winds alone. No soul matures without the fire of resistance. The difficulty you feel is not a sign to turn back. It is the mark that you are doing something that matters. And if the road is dark, all the more reason to be the one who carries light. You do not walk alone. Even in your silence, heaven watches. Even in your doubt, eternity records your steps. You are part of a great tapestry woven from threads of obedience, resilience, and unseen triumphs. So finish it. Not because it's easy. Not even because it's possible in your own strength, but because it is righteous, because it is necessary. Because it is no longer yours to abandon. You must finish what you started. It's bigger than you now. What you started may have begun privately, but its purpose has now grown publicly. Others are affected by your obedience. In the quiet moments of your life, when the thought first stirred within you, when no one else saw the fire kindling in your heart, it may have seemed like a simple idea, a personal goal, or perhaps even a small dream meant only for you. But that's the mystery of purpose. It often begins in secret and finishes in the open. The origin of great missions is often unnoticed, born in obscurity, but they rarely stay there. A seed hidden in soil does not remain unseen forever. It grows, breaks through the surface, and offers fruit for others. Likewise, the thing you committed to, the thing you dared to begin, may have felt private at first, but now it has become part of the visible fabric of many lives. Fruit. What you carry now touches more than your own destiny. There are people whose lives have been shaped already by your courage to start. Perhaps they haven't told you. Perhaps you do not even know they are watching. But they are. People take notice when someone dares to live with purpose. They draw quiet hope from it. It gives them permission to believe that they too can begin again. In your endurance, they find inspiration. In your steps, they find a path. You may have started for yourself, but now others walk behind you, silently grateful for the trail you've cleared. You are no longer just building something for yourself. You are becoming a reason someone else believes it is possible to change, to fight, to hope. Obedience has always been more powerful than ambition. Ambition serves the self, but obedience serves something higher, something more lasting. And when you obey the call that was placed on your life, you become part of a divine ripple effect that touches hearts beyond your knowing. Someone out there has already decided not to give up because they saw you continue. Someone's pain is lighter because you carried your burden with quiet strength. Someone has prayed more boldly, walked more confidently, or believed more deeply because of your resolve. Your faithfulness is not a private matter anymore. It never was. This is the nature of sacred work. It multiplies. It spills over. It plants seeds in fields you'll never walk through yourself. And so, when you feel weary and begin to wonder if your effort even matters, remember that what began as a personal assignment is now a shared blessing. The impact of your work is no longer contained within your life. It has entered the lives of others, like light that enters a room through a single candle and then sets many others aflame. Your journey has lit fires beyond your sight. Do not be deceived into thinking this is still only about you. It is no longer about convenience or personal reward. It has become bigger than your dreams, your strength, even your failures. It now carries eternal consequences, and while that may feel like a weight too heavy to bear, it is in fact a holy honor. You are trusted with this path. You are entrusted with influence. And with that trust comes the call to finish what was started. Finishing is not about pride. It is about stewardship. It is about being faithful to what was entrusted to you and to those who now draw strength from your example. It is about fulfilling your portion of a story that is larger than yourself. Just as one note cannot carry a song alone, but must be played to complete the symphony, your part must be completed so others can rise to theirs. The moment you began, something beyond you was set in motion. That is why quitting is no longer just giving up on a dream. It is stepping away from a responsibility, one that now touches lives and legacies beyond what you can see. So stand firm. Remember that the beginning may have been yours alone, but the ending will belong to many. Others are building courage on the foundation of your persistence. Others are seeing what's possible because you started something bold and faithful. The world has already been shaped by your yes. Your obedience is a light in dark places. It's not just about you anymore. And that is what makes it beautiful. To quit now is not simply self-defeat. It withholds potential breakthroughs in the lives of others. There's something deeply significant about perseverance that goes far beyond personal achievement or comfort. When you give up on what you were called to do, you are not just stepping away from a task. You are stepping away from the possibility that someone else's transformation may have depended on your faithfulness. That may sound like a weighty responsibility, and it is, but it is also a sacred truth. Every life, whether it knows it or not, carries influence. Every choice, especially the ones made in quiet struggle, ripples outward. When you stop, those ripples are halted, and when you persist, even through trembling hands and weary steps, you send waves of unseen strength into places you may never physically touch. The books that changed your thinking, the songs that reached you in the silence, the speeches that stirred your spirit, none of these things arrived from people who never faced despair. They came from people who stared at their limits and still continued. They pushed through fear, doubt, rejection, and fatigue, because somewhere in their heart they believed, or hoped, or maybe just trusted that it was worth finishing. And because they did, your life was touched, your heart was moved. Their perseverance became your permission to dream, to believe, to endure. Now it is your turn. What if the very thing you are tempted to abandon right now is the very thing that would one day help someone else rise? What if your refusal to quit is the reason someone else eventually succeeds? You are not an island. You are part of an eternal network of lives and stories woven together by courage and choice. Every time you press forward, even in silence, even in obscurity, you are opening the door for someone else to walk through. But if you close it, if you walk away, that door may not open again. Not because it couldn't, but because your voice, your example, your light was uniquely designed to unlock it. We often think of giving up as a private matter, a personal decision that affects no one but ourselves. But that's a lie dressed in the comfort of isolation. You were never meant to walk alone. And when you abandon what you were entrusted to build, create, or endure, you are in fact closing off pathways that others may have needed. Your perseverance is someone's roadmap. Your endurance is someone's encouragement. The tears you shed in silence may very well become someone else's reassurance that they are not alone in theirs. This is not about guilt. This is about purpose. You must understand that what you carry is not ordinary. The burden you feel, the work you do, the fire inside you that won't quite die out. It's all evidence that you are part of something bigger. And when something is bigger than you, it must be stewarded, not abandoned. There is a sacred calling in that. Not every battle will feel victorious, and not every step will be celebrated, but unseen victories are still victories. Quiet faithfulness is still faithfulness, and the breakthroughs that will come from your persistence may take years to appear, but they will come. Someone will rise because you did not fall. When you think about quitting, ask yourself who it would hurt. Not just you, but those whose names you may never know. Those who needed to see you try one more time. Those who needed to see you finish so they could believe it was possible to begin. We do not live lives of isolation. We live in a chain of influence, each link depending on the strength of the one before it. Be the strong link, even when you feel weak. Be the one who holds on, not because it's easy, but because it's right. There is a future waiting on the other side of your decision. There is breakthrough waiting on the other side of your persistence. Do not deny the world what only your perseverance can deliver. Do not rob others of the hope that your endurance was meant to birth. To quit now is not simply self-defeat. It is to withhold a blessing that was never meant to stop with you. Finish, because others are waiting on the other side of your faith. Endurance is often the truest evidence that what you're doing truly matters. In a world that glorifies fast results and instant gratification, endurance stands as a quiet rebellion. It does not shine in the way quick success does. It does not make headlines or demand applause, but it holds weight, eternal weight. Eternal weight. To continue, when the excitement has faded and the path becomes painful, is one of the strongest declarations of purpose a person can make. Endurance says, this is worth my time, my effort, my suffering. It does not need to be loud to be powerful. It simply continues full. And in doing so, it becomes a living testimony that the work matters, even when it no longer feels glamorous or rewarding. There is something holy about holding on when you have every reason to let go. There is something eternal about pushing forward when there is no visible reward in sight. The very difficulty of the task, the very resistance you feel, is often the clearest sign that what you are doing touches something meaningful. Darkness does not fight against what it is not afraid of. Opposition comes when impact is near. People often think that ease is a sign of favor, but in truth, the presence of endurance reveals something deeper. When a person continues to build, to write, to speak, to care, even when the world grows cold or indifferent, that is a soul anchored in calling. That is a person whose foundation is not made of feelings, but of faith. Endurance strips away the superficial. It reveals your true motivation. When you are no longer being celebrated, when no one is cheering, when there is no clear reward ahead, and yet you keep going, that is when your purpose is purified. That is when your mission becomes clearer, more sacred. Anyone can start. Most people can take the first few steps. But those who finish, those who endure, those who fight through the long silent seasons, they are the ones who shape history, even if their names are never known. To endure is to trust that the unseen is still working. It is to believe that the seeds you are planting, the work you are doing, the faith you are holding on to, will all bear fruit, even if not today, even if not for you. Endurance requires a vision that looks beyond the moment, beyond the discomfort, beyond the disappointment. It sees the bigger picture. It believes that what is done in faith, in truth, and in love will never be wasted, even if the harvest comes years later, even if the reward is not seen in this lifetime. Endurance is the soul saying, I believe this matters, even if I never get the credit, even if I never see the results, even if it costs me more than I expected. That kind of commitment, that kind of long-suffering faithfulness is rare, but it is beautiful. It is what builds nations, transforms hearts, and leaves legacies. You must understand that difficulty is not the enemy. Often, it is the confirmation. If the road is hard, perhaps it is because it is sacred. If the climb is steep, perhaps it is because the view is worth it. Endurance is not a punishment, it is a proving ground. It is where your character is forged, where your convictions are tested, where your strength is refined. Do not resent it. Do not rush it. Lean into it, because it is doing something within you that no shortcut ever could. You are being shaped into someone who can carry the weight of real impact. You are being prepared for something more lasting than temporary praise. When you feel like stopping, When the weight seems too much, remind yourself that the very presence of this struggle may be the evidence that your mission matters. Endurance is the refining fire. It does not destroy, it purifies. It reveals what is true. And when the storm passes, when the dust settles, it will be those who endured who remain standing. Not because they were the strongest, not because they had the most support, but because they believed in something greater than the pain of the moment. Let your endurance speak louder than your fear. Let your persistence shine brighter than your doubt, because what you're doing truly matters, and your endurance is the clearest proof. You are not the sole bearer of this journey. You walk with a divine companionship and eternal purpose. So often, in the middle of hardship, when the weight of your calling feels unbearable and the path ahead seems obscured by fog and silence, the greatest lie you are tempted to believe is that you are alone. It whispers in moments of weakness, telling you that no one sees, no one understands, no one cares. But this is not truth, it is illusion. The reality is that you were never meant to carry this burden by yourself. From the beginning, before you even knew where the road would lead, there was one who walked beside you. Even in the moments when you did not feel his presence, even in the times when all was quiet and you mistook silence for absence, he was there. He is not the kind who abandons. He is not the kind who begins a work only to walk away from it. The truth is, your journey is part of something far older, far deeper, and far more sacred than your present understanding can grasp. There is a companionship that goes beyond mere comfort. It is guidance, strength, and wisdom woven into your every step. And this divine presence is not passively observing your journey. It is actively shaping, supporting, and sustaining you. You may look at your situation and wonder how you are still standing. You may feel broken, confused, and stretched beyond your limits, yet somehow you rise each day. Somehow you continue. That is not mere willpower. That is grace in motion. That is evidence of hands holding you up when your own strength failed. You are not walking alone. The unseen hand that called you to begin is still with you now, not only as a guide, but as a partner in the journey. And if you could see with spiritual eyes, you would understand that the road you walk is paved with meaning. Each step is not random, not wasted, not meaningless. There is eternal purpose embedded in your movement, even in the mundane, even in the painful. You are not merely enduring for survival. You are pressing forward with purpose. What you do has consequence beyond this world. Your faithfulness echoes beyond time. The perseverance you show in this life reverberates in the unseen realms where your obedience is recorded, your tears are counted, and your courage is honored. You are part of something eternal, and because of that, nothing you do in alignment with that purpose is ever lost. When you feel unseen by people, remember you are seen by the one who matters most. When you feel unheard, remember that your every sigh, your every cry in the night is heard and treasured. This journey you are on may appear ordinary from the outside, but in truth, it is marked by the sacred. Every act of persistence, every moment you choose to stay when you could run, every time you choose faith over fear, these are sacred moments that do not go unnoticed. They are seeds planted in eternity. The results may not always bloom before your eyes, but they bloom nonetheless. They matter. They endure. And because you are not alone, you do not have to carry the pressure of perfection. You do not have to have all the answers. You do not need to be invincible. You simply need to be faithful. Faithfulness is not about doing everything right. It is about continuing to show up, continuing to trust, continuing to place one foot in front of the other, even when you do not know the full plan. Divine companionship is not just about comfort. It's about empowerment. You are strengthened for the journey not because you are naturally strong, but because you are deeply supported. There is a greater strength at work within you, one that does not come and go based on how you feel. It is steady, it is eternal, it is enough. So take heart, lift your head, The road may be long, but you do not walk it alone. You walk with the one who sees the end from the beginning, the one who knows the weight you carry and walks beside you anyway. You are not abandoned. You are accompanied. You are accompanied. And because of that, your journey carries meaning that stretches beyond the visible. You are a vessel of purpose, a bearer of light. And no matter how dark the night becomes, you are never walking it alone. Every great mission carries a cost, but only those who finish are remembered as faithful. The weight of what you are carrying is not accidental. The resistance you face, the fatigue you feel, and the pressure that seems to press in from every side are not signs of weakness, but signs of significance. Anything truly meaningful, anything that changes lives or shifts the world even slightly, will demand something from you. It will cost you comfort, ease, and perhaps even relationships. It may cost you time, rest, and the illusion of certainty. But these costs are not to be feared. They are to be understood. They are the toll paid by those who have been entrusted with something greater than themselves. And while many begin with passion, with bright eyes and excitement, only those who endure through the storms are remembered as faithful. Because faithfulness is not measured at the start of a journey, but at the end. In the beginning, enthusiasm is easy. The spark is strong, the vision is clear, and the applause may even be present. But beginnings are deceiving. They are full of emotion and potential, yet empty of weight. It is only as you move forward, as the days grow longer and the path grows steeper, that the real measure of your commitment is revealed. Great missions test the soul. They expose not only your strengths, but your deepest motives. They ask questions that only perseverance can answer. Will you continue when no one thanks you? Will you press forward when the results are invisible? Will you sacrifice when there's no guarantee of reward? These are the moments that separate those who simply dream from those who are truly faithful. There is something rare and powerful about a person who finishes, not because they were perfect, but because they refused to quit. They stumbled, they wept, they doubted, but they continued. And that continuation, that decision to keep going despite the pain, is what marks them as trustworthy. A faithful person is not one who never wavered. It is one who returned to the path even after they fell. It is one who chose purpose over pride, responsibility over relief, and calling over convenience. They understood the cost and still paid it, not because they loved pain, but because they believed the mission was worth it. The world may celebrate many things: beauty, fame, intelligence, talent, but heaven celebrates faithfulness, and faithfulness is proven only in the completion of a thing. It is not the grand gestures or loud proclamations that define a faithful heart, but the quiet consistency, the unglamorous discipline, and the unseen sacrifices. The ones who are remembered with honor are those who did not turn away when it hurt. They are the ones who bore the cost without bitterness, who stayed when others left, and who carried the burden with grace. The legacy of faithfulness is not built in a moment. It is built over a lifetime of choices that no one may ever see. If you are carrying something that feels heavy, if you are walking through a mission that demands more of you than you expected, do not be discouraged. The weight is not a punishment. It is a sign that what you are doing is real, and real things are always costly. Cheap commitments come and go. But sacred callings require something deeper. They ask not just for your skill, but for your surrender. They call for patience, endurance, and most of all, a willing heart that says, "I will not quit, even when quitting would be easier. The cost is high, yes, but so is the reward." Not necessarily in applause or recognition, but in the knowledge that you were found faithful, that when your time came to carry something significant, you did not drop it, that when your voice was needed, you spoke, that when your effort was required, you gave it fully. That is what will be remembered. That is what will echo beyond this life. It is not those who dreamed or even those who began, but those who finished who leave behind a true legacy. So carry your burden with resolve. Know that every step you take, every tear you shed, every decision to keep going when it's no longer about how you feel. It's about what's right, what's needed, and what's eternal. Feelings are fleeting, They rise and fall like the tide, often driven by circumstances we cannot control. One moment you may feel passionate, inspired, and ready to take on the world, and the next you may feel empty, discouraged, and tempted to abandon everything. If purpose depended solely on emotion, nothing of value would ever be completed. If calling were only valid in moments of motivation, then the greatest works of history would have been forgotten before they were finished. At some point in every meaningful journey, there comes a moment where emotion must bow to conviction. That moment marks the transition from doing something because it feels good to doing something because it is right. And when you reach that point, you begin to walk in a different kind of strength, one that is no longer subject to how you feel in the moment, but to what you know is true. Your emotions are real, but they are not your master. They can inform you, but they should never control you. Because if you let them decide the course of your life, they will lead you in circles, never forward. Commitment rooted in emotion is like building a house on shifting sand. It cannot stand under pressure. But when you anchor your decisions in what is right, in what is needed, and in what carries eternal weight, you build on a foundation that cannot be shaken. You become a person who is not tossed by every wind, but one who stands even when the storm comes. And it will come. What is right is not always easy, and what is easy is rarely right. To stay faithful when you want to run, to speak truth when silence would be safer, to continue building when you see no progress. These are not choices driven by comfort. They are decisions forged in the fire of conviction. You continue not because it's painless, but because you understand the cost of stopping. You move forward not because it feels light, but because you believe the burden is worth bearing. You keep showing up because you know that someone, somewhere is depending on your obedience, even if they never say so, even if they never know your name. That's the power of living for what is needed rather than what is comfortable. There are people in the world right now whose lives are being shaped by your choices, even if they don't know it yet. When you decide to do what's right, to finish what you started, to show up again, to give your best even when you feel your worst, you are stepping into something far bigger than your personal feelings. You are aligning yourself with a greater story, one that stretches beyond your own experience. And in doing so, you become part of something eternal. Because the right thing, done for the right reason, never dies. It may not make headlines, it may not earn applause, but it endures. It leaves a mark that time cannot erase. And when this season of your life ends, you will not remember every emotion you felt. You will not recount every moment of weakness or discouragement. What you will remember, what will remain, is the outcome of your choices. You will look back not with regret for how you felt, but with pride for how you stood firm in spite of how you felt. The greatest fulfillment does not come from ease, but from knowing you stayed the course, that you were faithful with what was given to you. That's the legacy that matters. That's the reward worth pursuing. So even when you don't feel it, keep going. Even when the fire dims and the road grows heavy, keep walking. Let your compass be truth, not mood. Let your guide be purpose, not comfort. Feelings are temporary visitors, but faithfulness builds eternal homes. Do not let passing emotions rob you of lasting impact. Finish what you started, not because it's easy, not because you always feel strong, but because it is right, it is needed, and it carries a weight that time itself will honor.